He could not understand that. He thought of every reason. He said he flew over 8 times Krupp munition storage works and was told not to bomb it. He was so confused. When he got out of the Army, World War I, there was a book called Arms and the Men. I'm sure none of you have even heard of it. Everybody ever hear of the book, Arms and the Men? It was pulled out of most libraries. It was written up in Fortune magazine in America. The whole article, how DuPont had shares in I.J. Farben. That's why I was ordered not to bomb it. So anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about? Okay. Vested interest. You know what that means? People that have investment in other countries. They don't want that country bombed. So it's very difficult to have a war that's sincere. Most wars are for profit-making. In fact, I should say, all the wars that I know of are for profit-making. Now, a lot of people come to me, or they come to our center, and they say, this is their words, not mine, why are these goddamn North Koreans building rockets? And why is China building big armies? And why is it that we can't arm too? Well, I can tell you why, and I don't want you to take my word for it, but if you write and try to get a copy of the newspaper called The Telegraph in England, U.S. presented headlines, and that says, U.S. intends to bomb 7 cities, and it names them nuclear, sneak attack. It was not called a sneak attack, it's called strategic strike today. So it makes it safe. Anyway, U.S. intends to bomb several cities, and it names them all. Well, that's why they're arming. Doesn't it occur to you that people that would get in an airplane and fly them into the trade center, kill themselves? What did we do to make them that bitter against the United States? What did we do? We must have done something down the line. So in a true democracy, which has never existed anywhere in the world, your president would get up and criticize another country for an hour or an hour and a half. Then we would invite the prime minister of that country to give his point of view. Then we'd invite the Prime Minister of Sweden. He said, they're both full of shit. This is how I see it. That's a democracy. When you have every point of view, but you just got religion on Sunday, that's not a democracy. If you have comparative religion, what different people believe all over the world, that's better. But if you also have atheists, agnostics, everybody on the air, and you turn it on and off, that's a democracy. But when you got one point of view on the air called managed news, meaning they're letting you hear what they think you ought to hear. Somebody's making decisions about the way you ought to think and giving you their viewpoint as a dominant viewpoint. In the future, children will be educated in different cultures, different value systems, what different people believe. All over the world, they will travel, live with Italian families, Greek families, to get the feel of the culture. Most Americans, when they travel to France, they go to the American club. They go to Italy, they go to the American club. You don't get the feel of the other country when you do that. So if you get the feel of people, you find out they're pretty much the same. They all like their kids. They all want the same thing. So the way you bridge the difference between nations, no matter how different their culture is, don't touch their religion or their social customs that you don't agree with. All nations need the same thing: clean air, clean water, arable land, and a relevant education. Relevant education means how to maintain nature, keep it at best, keep the waters clean, not dump stuff into the ocean, toxic material. Why do you have to write your congressman? Who the hell is that jerk that you have to write? You say you want women's rights. He should be at the forefront of technology. When you fly in an airliner today, you don't write the pilot and say you've been flying at an angle for an hour and a half, straighten up. He knows his business. That's why you don't have to write him. And the navigator knows how to take you to Hawaii. But if you see icebergs coming up, you don't have to write the pilot and say, hey, where the hell are we going? Who are these jackasses you have to write? They should know more about the future, about training, language, different customs, and be at the forefront of technology. That's what you do when you go to a doctor. You don't know enough about medicine. When he says you have cancer of the 5th lumbar, you say, what's that? And he shows you on a chart. See? So We have many people in government, politicians they're called, and they say things people like to hear. They say that because the only way they can get elected. As they say, most of you are wrong in the way you're brought up. They'll never make it. Do you understand that? So politicians say things people like to hear. If a politician discovered that the earth was round, if you want to get along with people when they all believe it was flat, you can say, folks, it's a little round and a little flat. Then you get along with most people. It isn't the business of science to get along with people. Our business is to say, if you believe the earth is flat, this is the evidence we have to show that it's round. Present the evidence. That's the best you can do. But when you cater to people's beliefs, you're holding back. You're dishonest. You're corrupt. That's why politicians can never be honest, because they depend on voting. They depend on people supporting them. So the people will support them if they're ignorant. And most people are, when I use the word ignorant, our society keeps us from learning certain things because it's difficult to maintain control over people if you bring them up to be free. You see, if people are free, you have 4,000 different political parties. Now, you couldn't get anybody elected anywhere. So it's very difficult. The words we use, the language we use, you know, people say to me, have a nice weekend. Why do they say have a nice life? Why just a weekend? You see, you don't even know it. You're brought up in crap up to here, so everything looks right and normal to you. If you're brought up by the Seminole Indians, you say you can have anything you want. What do you want? Well, I'd like a teepee that doesn't require too much maintenance. What the hell do you expect them to ask for? If you ask an impoverished black family, maybe the husband, maybe, what would you like? You can have anything you like. So like a pool table paid for. So what do you think people ask for? Things within the culture that they live with. They don't. An Eskimo never dreams, all Eskimos, never dreams of walking on a palm fringe beach in the tropics. Can you understand? They've never been exposed to it, unless they've seen motion pictures or have traveled. So your dreams are always within your culture. You ask the average person, what do you want? A decent job. They don't want a decent job, they want a purchasing power. They don't want a job. They want access to the necessities of life. So nobody, or very few people, drive the kind of car they want. They drive what they can afford. Very few people live in the kind of house they want to live in. They live in what they can afford. So what the hell's a democracy? Doesn't exist. Your choices are dependent on your purchasing power. You understand that, I'm sure. You can't go to the best doctor. You can go to the best doctor you can afford. So that's not a sane society. You live in a society of advantages, and all the industries seek to maintain the cutting edge. And if that's the bottom line, is profit, then you can't have sanity. You can't have sustainability. But every country wants sustainability for themselves, their concept of sustainability. But the concept of sustainability that I talk about is everybody sharing all the Earth's resources, where there's no artificial boundaries that separate people, where you can travel anywhere in the world and to go to any school you want to without debt or payment of any kind, where doctors are brought up to enjoy making people well, but they will live well. Everybody will live well in the future. There's no need to have poor. And then you have organizations like the Red Cross, all these different organizations, the do-gooders. You know, do-gooder is making the earth, shaping the earth and designing it so that you have no poverty, no hunger, no decency. Everybody in this culture is a prostitute. If you sing on TV and sell toothpaste, you're prostituting your voice. Everybody in society that does work for another company, the minute you punch that time clock and go to work, you're in a dictatorship. The boss doesn't say, would you like a free week vacation, a month, or what would you like? Would you like to spend more time with your family? I haven't met any bosses like that. So when you go to work for a company, it's a dictatorship. If you type for 20 years for some corporation, then you retire, you know what you got up here when you retire? Corporate letters. You haven't learned in school how to relate, how to live, how to find meaning in your own life. So that's why I say, and more